Hi there, welcome to another No BS review. I can always tell how popular the knife is by how many viewers would like to see it tested. And this knife is very highly requested by a lot of viewers because this is Kizer Drop Bear, which is another knife in a series of so-called bug-out killers, as well as being a designer-associated knife based on ASTM design. Very ergonomic, he's famous for that. And look how it fits in my medium-sized hand there. Spot on for every possible grip. Excellent ergonomics here. Weight is very cool. It's a bigger knife than the Yonder that I just reviewed by Cbrx, and it weighs the same. Let's see the blade length. And it's exactly smack on 3 inches. The cutting edge length is 3 1/16 inch. Let's check the practical edge length next. By that I mean if I am pinch gripping the knife and cutting something on the cutting board, how much blade is usable before my index finger knuckle hits the cutting board. And on this knife, a little bit hard to see, but it is only 7/8 of an inch. So it's less than a third of the blade's length. No extra point here. The key to carrying a knife in a pocket is how easy it is to insert and extract it to and from the pocket. The tip caught a little bit. I had to sort of shift the knife forward out of the way. But after that, it went in easy, and the extraction is very easy. Let's test it on the EDC meter. This webbing belt is designed to emulate the pocket. It's 1/8 of an inch thick, which is a thickness of a seam on the jean pocket. I find that the most comfortable force range required is somewhere between 2 and 5 pounds of force. This knife is well under that. So that kind of concerns me because once in the pocket, I prefer the knife to stay firmly in that pocket. And we'll test it in a second here, but I'm consistently getting right around 1 pound insertion and extraction force. So let's put it in and see what would happen if it was in your pocket and you tumbled down a slope on the height. That wasn't a sound effect, that was batteries flying out of the battery compartment on my trigger gauge here. And speaking of trigger gauge, let's see how much detent force does this knife possess. Why is it important to so many EDC knife enthusiasts? Because if the knife is snappy, even an inexpensive knife feels like a premium one when you flick it open to use it. Don't read me wrong, I didn't have any issues with this knife. It's just, I think it could be a little snappier if they increase the detent force by a little bit. And now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this test. I am putting knife into my clamping fixture that emulates human grip because it has steel rods covered with rubber hose. And this is a modified arbor press that I call lovingly the hype smasher. I modified it so that this ram can drop freely and traverse 6 inches, striking the blade from the spine direction, which emulates a significant amount of force a human hand can exert on a backslap motion. Am I forgetting something here? Oh yeah, I have to test the lock to make sure that it's not impinged in the clamp. This is another one of my tests that some people, criticize because they don't like the results. But I am happy with this test because some knives stay locked and then some others do unlock. So that means the test is well designed. Let's go for 2 more strikes, see how it does. Huh. Looks like it's unlocked. Let me double check. Let's put it back in a locked position. The blade is stuck in the wood. And it's stuck pretty good in there. All right, let's make sure it's locked again. We're going to go for another strike just to see if it was a fluke of some sort or operator error. Anyway, a lock by definition has to stay locked until you decide to unlock it. And let's see if this one can do that again. Apparently not. So I was starting to like this knife. Of course, this test is designed to take my personal bias out of the equation. Now I have to examine it closer. Let's see if there was any collateral damage from this. I don't see anything weird going on here. It's not even loose. Let's try an unsafe way to test it. Please don't repeat this at home. I guess I need a little more room here. So it fails. The lock is failing. We'll take a closer look. And now all the fans of this knife will come out and yell at me for testing it on a spine whack machine and saying that this will never happen in the real world. I hope it doesn't. It's a durability test. What part of it is hard to understand? And this is a strain resistance test. Some people call it toughness test. First quarter of an inch of the blade is embedded into this wooden block, or clamped, I should say, rigidly. And I am pulling on it until it reaches 15 degrees on this carpenter's compass. That's a pretty good way to test the toughness of the blade's tip. And here I am launching into my twist test. I exert a lot of moment. It's a wide handle, so I can exert a lot of moment, and that puts a lot of stress and strain on the internal components of this knife, especially bearings, pivot, and pins. Now I'm going to check if anything got permanently bent. The blade looks good. Did not get bent. And let's check this side just in case, just to make sure. I don't see any bending, do you? And it still functions. And let's see if there is any play. Yep, just a little bit of a play opened up in a side-to-side direction, not in a vertical direction. Easy to tune this up. I use Work Pro driver set. I will link it in the description. So if you're looking for a good driver set, that's it. No play. I think I got it just 1/8 of a turn or so of the screwdriver. Brought it back to where it was before this test. Now we're going under the microscope to see how professional is the sharpening job on this unit. The quality of the secondary bevel, or what most people call the edge, tells the tale. The tip looked great. The plunge from the primary grind intersects where the edge is supposed to be, and that's why we're getting a little bit of a shark fin at the sharpening choil there. That's not great, but nothing terrible. The edge is of consistent width from basically from where that shark fin ends and the rest of the edge begins. That means the angle, the grind angle, is consistent. And it's about 20 degrees by the looks of it. Good job stropping it. They're not overstropping, nor are they understropping this knife. And now I'm eagerly anticipating to take a look at this crossbar lock to see if there's any damage from it unlocking during the hype smasher test. Let's pull back on this. What's going on there? Something is happening. I see like grease smears going toward the tip of the blade, but then I see some kind of scratch pattern going across. And that is not something a crossbar would put. The crossbar moves into longitudinal direction, and there are those transverse scratches. It's puzzling. And I hope it's not what I think it is, because that would be totally stupid. I have to take the knife apart now to make sure it's not what I think. And here we're looking at these scratches again. Need to wipe the grease off. So that is weird. It looks like it's somebody deliberately scratched up the tang or the engagement surface, probably thinking they'll induce friction. There's nothing on the crossbar that would even remotely indicate that crossbar did it. Anyway, did they really think, wait a second, did they know there's an unlocking problem with this knife? This is crazy. If they knowingly tried to fix the unlocking problem by putting scratch pattern on the tang of the blade, this is so appalling. It's unprofessional. Look, pivot is in a good shape. Yeah, I'm like grasping at straws here. I don't want to know. I want to think that Kizer would do such a thing. No, nothing on the, not scratching of any kind on the pivot. Not that I expected that there would be. I'm just puzzled by that. You know what? I'm gonna have to stop here and order another Drop Bear. Here's a new Kizer. Let's open it and see. And while I'm doing that, if you own one, go check yours out. Pull back the crossbar and see if these scratches are there. Because I can see with my naked eye there are those scratches there. All right, back to business. On the left is the original Drop Bear. On the right is brand new one. And as you can see, the new one has fewer and somewhat shallower scratches, and the old one has lots of them. I wonder what they were actually trying to solve here. Now that I had a couple of days to think about it, I don't think it was actually a spine whack because companies don't test that way. I think they were addressing a lock stick, which is still a bad way to do it. If you think this was strange, let me tell you, it got even weirder when I went to test the hardness. And of course, now that I had two blades, I was going to test both of them side by side. So enough talking, let's get into it. I'm going to verify calibration of this device. This block is certified at 787 Leeb points, HL. Why am I using Leeb points is because the resolution is a lot higher. Each Leeb point, 787, right on the money. Each Leeb point is 0.07 point on the Rockwell scale, so less than 1/10. And I forgot to do it, but you know, it's just to show you that this is not a edited segment. I'll do my stopwatch thing here, where the sweep of the handle will show you that this segment is not altered, interrupted, edited, or otherwise messed with. So I'm going to start with the newer blade, because this way I think I'm going to start on the left side, so we're going to be consistent here. Methodology. All right, and oh, forgot to tell you, I actually removed some metal here to ensure it's as flat as I can get it using my sharpening diamond plates. So we're gonna, sorry about that. This is how you reset it. You have to cycle through material selections and then it resets it. And I'm gonna of course put it into HRCs. Okay, so Nitro-v advertised 60 to 62 HRC, which is a golden sort of zone for it. But I read Dr. Larian Thomas's article about this steel, and it can go actually much higher. So I'm giving you all this long preambulance because this is what I got on this new blade. So it's clearly almost a whole HRC point above the advertised range. Don't celebrate yet. So 62.8 average with, as you could see, a very consistent range of numbers here. You have heard me say in several videos that this is not an approved method by the industry to test knife blades. And that is puzzling, because the guiding document for Leeb testing is ASTM A956, an internationally accepted standard for Leeb testing, which makes recommendations on how to measure thin metal in paragraph 7.2. So I flipped the blade, let's keep going. 63.3. So why doesn't the industry use this method? Because it's tedious and time consuming. It's a lot faster to just take a blade to the Rockwell tester, hit it once or twice, and get on with manufacturing. All I have to do to test thinner and lighter pieces of steel or any other metal is by supporting it on a heavy solid block. I press the blade down firmly with the probe and then apply this incompressible gel, which takes up any air pockets that could be trapped between the two pieces of metal. And then the pressure, the bottom of this probe has like a little rubberized piece that allows me to apply pressure without messing up the drop distance. And I set it up so that the average of 5 strikes is taken for each side of the blade. Draw your own conclusions. So we got 63 HRC between the two sides of the blade average, which is excellent, but let's wait until we test the other blade. The original one from the black knife, from the original knife that I started this video with. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction. Let's keep the procedure rolling unaltered. And I tested it without flattening it, and I tested it with flattening, and I'm still getting the same results. I'm deliberately not clearing the previous results so you can see the contrast right away. So 60 to 62 is the advertised range. And I have to move the probe a little bit every time, because if I strike in the same spot, it's actually going to read much higher hardness or give me an error message. So 59.9, so it's just a hair under the advertised range. Now we're going on the right side of the blade. Make sure nothing changed here. Keep on going. As you can imagine, the knife industry is not forthcoming sending knives for review to me, because I don't sugarcoat. So your help is greatly appreciated. Likes and shares are great, but I'm also asking you to consider purchasing a super thanks. Must have struck in the wrong spot. That was the error message right there when it says up means on the high side. Yeah, see, I still struck in the same spot. So for this side of the blade, it was 59 average, and overall average is 59 and a half. Half a point under the advertised range. Right, so how weird was that? I don't even know what to make of it, guys. So let's just have that discussion in the comments. This will be an interesting edge retention test. I would not miss this opportunity for the world. I will be testing side by side these two blades at different hardness. To do this, I'm using this fishing line. It's a 4-pound fishing line I bought at Walmart. I made these loops out of it. I'm using the direct pull method with my trigger gauge. I'm going to set it to grams and proceed. The blade that was 59.5 HRC is on the left, and the blade that was 63.1 HRC is on the right. I didn't quite synchronize the two tests, so bear with me here. Here are the results for the first pull. As you can see, they're running in the same ballpark, and let's continue. So obviously I did not resharpen either one of them. They still have factory edges and some variations in sharpness or measured sharpness. may come from there. But I was hoping to see the harder blade cut a little better. I am not seeing, I think they're close enough, roughly in the same ballpark, that I can't conclusively say that the harder blade cuts better. Maybe by a small amount. Let's just bear with the test. I am now using this buckhorn to dull the edge. 20 back and forth, so 40 cuts, and remeasure after that. I think buckhorn is a great material to test edge retention, wear resistance, as well as toughness of the edge. Back to testing we go. Yeah, the most time-consuming part of this test is making those loops out of 4-pound fishing line. But, you know, in the name of science, I don't mind wasting some of my time. I don't think it's wasted. To be honest, I was expecting a very similar performance before I dulled the blades and a wider spread than I'm seeing after encountering the buckhorn. I mean, most of us have heard Dr. Larry Thomas saying that edge geometry is by far most important factor in a blade's performance, more important than steel itself and how hard it is. And here we're seeing the living proof of it, results coming neck and neck, even though there is a 3-point HRC disparity between the two blades. As you can see on the last spool, the force jumped on a less hardened blade.
Was it actual damage or an outlier?
I'm going to give you percentages of sharpness decrease both ways. The softer blade performed a little bit better if you take the outlier out, or worse if you keep it in. Looks like I am not done yet. All right, so let's find out what really happened here. I am going to put both blades under the microscope sequentially, starting with the original drop bear that I got first. That blade was softer by roughly 3 points HRC. So let's see what kind of damage buckhorn did to this edge. Aha, didn't take me long to zoom in on the damage. Look how nice the edge looks. And then there is this roll here. It doesn't look like a chip, it looks like a roll. Let's see how it looks from the other side. Here's another roll, looks like in the opposite direction. Yeah, and you can see where the other roll terminates here with a shiny edge. That shiny line right on the edge, that's it. I don't see much else. Unfortunately, that's the most magnification I can squeeze out of my microscope, which is about 35x. That's the best I can do here in this setting, but what I can do is zoom in on the screen itself. So I think that pull force of over 800 grams happened right in this area here where these couple rolls took place. Now let's take a look at drop bear number 2. I think it's kind of cool to see through. I mean, my logical brain says it's a bad idea because the knife will get dirty, but it's very appealing from the box. What is not appealing is this edge. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of weirdness going on. It looks like the edge, the secondary bevel, is just peeling off in these areas. Goodness gracious, those are chips. Those are like slivers of metal missing from the surface. And so a picture emerges in my brain of what really happened to this blade. I think the fact that it's heat treated just a hair over its recommended range, or whatever chosen range was, is not the culprit here. I think at 63 it should perform just as fine as the other drop bear, or better. But I think what happened, because it's a little harder, whoever sharpened the knife was forced to apply a little bit more pressure against the sharpening sand belt and overheated the edge. And that is precisely why I resharpen all the blades that I plan to carry every day. All right, this video got longer than I anticipated. Very interesting findings here, very educational, at least to me. I hope the same to you. I will throw the EDC score for Kizer Drop Bear on the screen in a second. So what I'm going to do next
Is remove the factory edge and put a new edge on the blade using these two devices. They are Prof Kadet Pro on the left and XARILK Gen 3 on the right.
and that is in the video that's going to be released
Very shortly after this one.
So wait for the last few seconds and you can click on the link there. Plus I will throw the link to that video in the description so that you can go back when you have more time. This knife has a score of 13.1. The big misses were unlocking on the Hype Smasher, having play after each durability test,
Weaker than usual in-pocket retention, still being out of range and providing a classic example where the softer version rolled and the harder version chipped. Bookcase example there. Not the way we want it. And remember, I'm scoring the original knife. The other one would get 1 point extra for having more edge retention. Please click on the companion video link coming up now.